Welcome back to another week of virtual art classes with the Lancaster Festival. My name is Karla Young, a licensed K-12 art educator, and I have designed a week of spring-themed art projects, each one linked to the work of a famous artist. I hope you will join me this week and we will spring into art together. Today's project is inspired by the work of famous artist Georgia OKeefe. We will be making a Georgia OKeefe inspired flower garden. And if you're a little more advanced and want a bit of a challenge, we will be making Post-it note flowers, also inspired by the work of Georgia OKeefe. Born in 1887, Georgia OKeefe was an American artist who painted nature in a way that showed how it made her feel. She is best known for her paintings of flowers and desert landscapes. Georgia decided at the age of 10 that she wanted to be an artist. In her art, she liked expressing herself using lines, colors, and shading in harmonious ways. She once said, "Colors and shapes make a more definite statement than words ever could." Georgia died in 1986 at the age of 98. She lived a long time and made more than 2,000 pieces of art in her lifetime. Of those 2,000 pieces, over 200 of them were flower paintings. She played an important part in the development of modern art in America, becoming the first female painter to gain respect in New York's art world in the 1920s. Her unique and new way of painting nature, simplifying its shapes and forms, meant that she was called a pioneer. Today, she is referred to as the mother of American modernism. Our first Georgia OKeefe inspired piece of artwork is this fun three-dimensional flower garden. The supplies that you will need for this project, you're going to need some blue paper. This will be the background sky color. You're also going to need some green paper. This will be for the stem of the flowers, perhaps some petals, maybe some grass that you add at the bottom. We need some scraps of yellow or whatever color you choose to put in the center of your flower. And then these white strips are going to be used for the actual petals themselves. So when I'm using the white and the yellow, I am making something that looks somewhat like a daisy. But your flowers can be whatever colors you choose. So for the petals, you're going to need a long, skinny strip of paper. This is 1/2 inch wide by 6 inches long. The first thing you're going to do is put a dot of glue using your glue bottle at the end of that strip and fold it, not really fold it, but curve the other end over and then hold that in place. You'll notice that it likes to be stubborn and it doesn't stick very well. So what you can do, I have a roll of masking tape right here. I can set it under the masking tape and let that start drying and sticking better while I move on to my next petal. So this will speed up the process tremendously. So again, another dot of glue on the end of my narrow white strip, and then I'm going to tuck it under my masking tape and it can dry that way and I don't have to sit and hold it forever. Another glue dot, you just keep repeating this process. And I'm going to tuck it underneath to dry. You will need 8 of these petals for each flower that you make. Once you have 8 petals that have dried, you're ready to assemble them into a flower. So I'm going to use a blue sky background. Again, this is just personal preference. Whatever color you want to glue these to is fine. I'm going to put a little dot of glue on my first petal, and I'm going to stick it right here. I'm going to put a dot of glue on my next petal, and I'm going to put it directly across. Like that. I'm going to put one going straight down and another going straight up. So it kind of looks like a plus sign right now. Move that one up a little bit. Now we still have 4 more, and we're going to glue these kind of diagonally like an X shape. So a dot on the back, put that one there. You can fill your page with as many flowers as you like. My example that's finished has 3. I'm going to show you this example with just 1. All right. So we have our 8 petals. We have almost like a plus sign, side to side and top to bottom. And then we have 4 more pieces that are put in diagonally like a letter X. I am ready to make the center of my flower. Again, whatever color you want to use is fine. I'm kind of going with the idea of a daisy, so I'm making a yellow circle for the inside. If you want to trace something small in your house, maybe a coin, a quarter, you can get a perfect circle where you can just freehand it. Doesn't have to be perfect, it's up to you. And then I'm going to put the center of my flower right there, kind of covering up all the ends of my daisy. All right, so the last thing I want to do is make a stem for my flower. I think it might actually look better going up and down. Might give me a little more room for my stem. So I'm going to put just a little bit of glue on there, stick that down. It hangs off a little bit, so I'm going to trim it. I might want to add a leaf. You could even take a marker and add some details on that leaf if you'd like. If you have room, you can add more than 1 flower to your project. That's up to you. And then the last thing you might consider is adding some grass. So I'm going to cut just a long strip off the bottom of my paper, and I'm going to make some fringe. So if I just carefully take my scissors and make small little snips, making sure not to cut all the way through. We could curl these, we could kind of crinkle these so they're kind of 3-dimensional, and we could glue this down along the bottom so it looks like grass. Another way you could do your grass is to just cut some curved triangles of different widths and different heights, and you can make your grass that way. So again, it's up to you. You can have more pointed grass, you can have grass that's made with fringe. And go ahead and get creative with these. If you want to add some more details to the center of your flower, if you want to add some torn paper, if you want to take a marker and add little circles, you could add a butterfly, you could add a sun. Just be creative, use your imagination, and see what you can come up with for your Georgia O'Keeffe inspired flower garden. If you would like a little more of a challenge for your Georgia O'Keeffe inspired flower project, I am now going to show you how to make Post-it note flowers. And I just love all of the colors that you can use and how three-dimensional and fun these turn out to be. So what you're going to need is some Post-it notes of your choice of color. You can buy an assorted pack. There's all kinds of fun colors of Post-it notes available today, so it's totally up to you. You see I have an example where the entire flower is yellow. It can all be in one color. Each row can be in a different color. It's totally up to you how you want to do this. So the first thing you're going to do for this project, I just have a roll of masking tape and I have a piece of cardboard from a cereal box. And I'm going to trace this roll of masking tape. Anything you have at home that would be a circle. You could maybe trace a lid or a bowl, anything like that from your kitchen. As long as it's 3 or 4 inches across, your circle will be fine. Okay, so there's our circle that we will glue the oil or the Post-it note petals to. All right, so what I've done to help explain how to fold and curl the Post-it notes, I've made a template here, and when you take a Post-it note off of the pad, you're going to want to position it like a diamond. You're going to want the sticky side right along that bottom left-hand edge. And then I want you to visualize a line from the bottom corner to the top corner. This is important because what I'm going to have you do is fold this edge of the Post-it note so that it lines up with that imaginary line. And once you've done that, this sticky side here, it helps to just add a little bit of glue stick right on top of the sticky part of the Post-it note, and you're going to pull this around until it reaches that folded edge. Kind of hard to do with this thick poster board, but hopefully you kind of get the idea. Okay, so let me show you one more time with a square that is not marked. You imagine that line from the top to the bottom point, and you're going to fold this edge in. You kind of have to visualize that that's going to line up with your imaginary line. It's almost like you're starting to make a kite. That sticky side of the Post-it note is right here along the bottom right edge. Add a little bit of glue stick and pull that over till it lines up with your fold. That's how you're going to create the individual cone shapes. Okay? So, here we go. I'm going to put a little glue on that bottom edge. I'm going to fold this side in, and I'm going to bring this around to the fold, and then I'm going to hold it. Make sure it sticks. If the point gets a little bit flattened, that's okay. All of the points of your petals are going to get covered up anyway, so we don't really need to worry if it's a little bit, you know, not perfect, not a perfect point at the bottom. All right, so let me just do this a few times so that you can get the idea. I'm putting that line of glue, I'm folding this in almost like I'm making a kite, and I'm bringing this side around. so that it sticks. You're going to get really good at doing this step because you have to do it numerous times. Okay. So let me turn it around so that you can see it a little better. I'm going to put that glue stick there. I'm folding this side in because remember, we're imagining a line right through that corner to corner. And then that gluey, sticky side is going to pull across and line up with that fold. That's important because it'll get all of your petals, all of your cones, the exact same shape. All right, so once you have some of these done and you're ready to start, you're getting anxious to start gluing them, I'll show you how that next step looks. On my examples, it actually takes 14 of these to go all the way around on the first layer. Okay, so you're going to need a glue bottle for this, and you're just going to want to kind of scribble some glue. Be a little bit generous with your glue, like that. And just kind of imagine where the center is, and that's where the point of your cone is going to go. And then we take the next one and put it right in there so they're side by side. Try not to leave any space in between them. Okay, and you can kind of start to see how this is going to work. You will just continue rolling your cones, you'll continue adding glue to the cardboard base, and you'll fill this in so that you'll have, a circle of cones for the first layer. And then you're just going to keep adding more and more layers of cones, and it's eventually going to start to fill in and become more 3D. So once you have successfully glued 1, 2, 3, and 4 layers of your Post-it note flower, you're going to fill it in the very center, and I'll show you how to do that so you can see what it looks like when it all comes together. So I'm just going to put some glue now on the back of the cone and place it into that center gap that still needs filled in. So I just kind of zigzag my glue and stick this one in right next to the one that I just glued in. If you're using all the same color, it starts to get a little bit challenging to figure out which layer you're on, but just keep going and it'll eventually fill in and look amazing when you're done. So zigzag glue, glue that in place. And I am just going to finish out this flower. One thing you can be thinking about is if you want to maybe hole punch this somewhere, you could hang these flowers. As the examples show, there's a green leaf. You could add a leaf to the flower. There's all kinds of fun things you can do with this. So let me glue this last piece in, and I'm going to hold it up and you can see where we're at. So we've almost filled in the entire flower. We have just a small gap right here in the middle. Looks like maybe 2 or 3 more could fit. So at this point, you're just making room and filling in the gaps so your flower's nice and full. It turns out looking kind of like a dahlia. And I think I'm gonna have room for one more. I don't know if you can see, there's a little bit of a gap. I'm gonna try to put one more in there and call it done. All right, so there you have your finished Georgia O'Keeffe inspired Post-it note flower. I hope you've enjoyed spending another week with me and the Lancaster Festival and creating some artwork with us. We would love to see some of your creations that you've made at home, so be sure to post pictures of your work online using the hashtag Lancaster Festival.